Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 17th of May to the 24th of May. There was a particular event that happened this past week that was really unfortunate of Kentaro Miura's passing, the author of Berserk, and of course, a lot of people made videos about it. I don't want to cover any of them. I didn't really feel comfortable with watching any of them, really. I know a lot of them meant well. I heard, I'm in the group with Studio Taka, and theirs seems like really a lot of thought put in and heartfelt and everything, and that's awesome. There's other people that are really taking advantage of it, I think, and it's kind of a weird situation with that for me personally. Probably not covering any this week, maybe in the subsequent weeks, but I'm probably going to be gone by then. I'll talk about that in later digest, but digest is going to go on a hiatus for a couple of months, not because of this Mira thing, but I've talked about it elsewhere. But anyway, yeah, that just kind of came up, I guess. But yeah, no, I'm not covering any of the Berserk videos that came out this week. There were a ton, and I'm not really touching any. I didn't watch any of them really. But let's talk about some videos that I thought they were not good. I thought they were kind of a miss for me. And the first one's from Narmak. I don't know if I gave the previous Naruto video. I covered his previous Naruto video here, I believe. But that was before I started watching Naruto, like months ago. And I'm already really well into it. Liking it a lot. And this is Naruto, I think. And it's just disappointing. It's just... I don't know. I feel like anybody could have made something like this. I think Narmak is very talented with constructing narratives and kind of had his whole SpongeBob thing that he got really big for was really creative and interesting. And I may have talked about it there during that video where it did feel very service level anime, it's I watched it when I was a kid or something, or just very surface level observations. But it felt especially noticeable here. Come on, Discord. This felt especially noticeable in this video, and it felt a lot like one of those animation parodies that kind of poke fun at anime that were back in the 2010s that were on YouTube around a lot. College Humor, and I think I forget what channel. It was ADHD or something. There was this Fox animation block. And I remember this Michael Bay's Evangelion or something that was just really dumb and not very, not good in my opinion. And this felt a lot like that. I just felt well, for one thing, a lot of it's just plot summary of the Zabuza arc. It just felt very lazy in that regard. I think the original one, his first one he did, I liked that the focus was on the prelude, the prologue, I guess, before you even whatever. But this just felt so much more bog standard and straightforward of just literally going chronologically and stuff, and very not so funny jokes and repetitive jokes. And the animation, it's it is, I don't know. I don't know how much he's inspired by Oni. But when Oni did his Dragon Ball stuff, it was more it's just to get a laugh out of people, and it's not trying to make fun of Dragon Ball as much. I don't know. It's just Carmen Electra, carrot cake, or something. I'm laughing at it. It was just funny in that way. But he's purposely mispronouncing their names in a way that's very Sasuke, Kakashi, and there was I kind of giggled a little bit at him trying to pronounce the way Sasuke would say Naruto, he would say that or whatever. Yeah, it's a little tongue in cheek, I guess. I think there was something to that, personally, but it just wasn't that funny, and the animation is not that creative, in my opinion, the way I've known his other ones to be. He takes a complete shit on Sakura. Of course, Sakura is a complete butt of a not even a character really, in this. Of course not. I think it was lampooning about Naruto and Sasuke's relationship, and I guess just oh, I don't know why that happened, or do you even have those powers at this point in the series? And like fan shit. It just feels like fan shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. God, I would hate to be a fucking Naruto watching this shit as it came out. Oh my god, it must have been fucking annoying, insensitive, incessive. I think would be the word. It's just, yeah, I was just really disappointed in this. You know, I liked his, I've liked his stuff, although I've always kind of taken it with a kind of a grain of salt. I've never been like a big fan of his of Narmak, but like I really thought he missed the mark on this one. And it was also so long. It was 10 minutes. The other one is very similar. The other one I guess I'll talk. The other one I guess I'll talk about is TeamFourStar's Magic Time Wizard Space Zoo. And look, it's not doing very well on YouTube. It's an original series, and YouTube doesn't push original stuff anymore. And there's a content creator I'll talk about later that mentions this, and I'm happy he did. Manime Matt, in the video he put out this week, I appreciated that he is talking about a lot of disadvantages of YouTube in that video. And this is one of them, that there's just like original content's not doing very well. And it does seem that they're putting a lot of fun stuff in this. It's an animation. It's hard to knock it like this, you know. It starts with, this is mostly improvised, and I'm cool with that. You know, there's that thing with like, I'm not like avid watcher or into it myself. I haven't seen much of them, but like I'm aware of I don't know if Critical Role is the one that does it, but there's a couple in particular of doing like animating a D&D match, a D&D game, which is almost completely unscripted, right? And I think there's a little bit of that in here, where I think it's a Discord call and they're kind of spitballing the plot as it goes on. He's like, I'm going to do this thing. But it's just hard to get invested. I don't know. I just feel like that I like the idea of unscripted animated content, but this just felt like it was trying to have a plot so much. It's like, you can't really do both. You can't really be like, we're having an actual story and plot, but we're improvising it. You know, you kind of have to be like full improvisation and have like kind of an awareness of like, oh, what if you did this? And what if I did, you know, like it had to feel like more improvised, I guess. But this felt like it was trying to have that veil. It was trying to do both. And I don't think it really succeeds at doing both. And, you know, I gotta say, there's a character in this that they end up making a plushie for. And it makes me feel really bad when it's like, this is how poorly the video's doing. And it's like a limited time thing, of course, so it's not like a big deal. It's probably like by order. So it's not like they probably like wasted a bunch of money or anything like that. It's certainly the time investment on a whole animation like this, and full lip sync on the characters and stuff, like the amount of effort in that regard. But like you can tell there's a it's limited in a particular capacity, where it's all the characters are just in kind of a similar pose, and it's all like it's one type of frame, and there's a lot of scenes in just an elevator, and it's not shot in any interesting angle. It's just front at you. But you can tell the thing with I guess the Western audiences is that all that matters is that it's semi-accurate lip flaps, and they have like A-E-I-O-U, and those were very lavishly done. But then the rest of it, it's not like there's big action or anything, and I'm not expecting that out of this at all. I get that it's more so like a talking and things happen sort of deal, and they're riffing off each other, and that's fine. But you just kind of have to, I don't know, it just wasn't the most engaging visuals for me. The way the choice, I totally get doing an economic choice or something like this, but it depends on whether it's an effective economic choice or a not effective economic choice. It ends up being kind of similar, the whole thing, and it's so long. It was 17 minutes. I was like, this should have ended a while ago kind of deal. I just felt like it went on too long. Probably would have done good, probably would have helped having some cutting room, more cutting with the editing, or something. I don't know. I just felt like 17 was way too long. Isn't that longer than like the Smiling Friends pilot? Like the Smiling Friends pilot's like 12 minutes or something like that. It's unreal. And the Smiling Friends, you know, anyway. I get the Smiling Friends is a whole other a whole other plane, and there's more to it than that. It's not fair to compare the two, but it's just sort of like, use your time wisely, you know. Yeah, for this sort of thing, I just felt it was too long. For the record, I really liked the series that this particular animator was working on. That was an original idea with original characters, and it was scripted, and that was really great. I really liked that that sort of stuff. I just thought that I took a chance on this one. It kind of went past me initially, and then I saw Kaiser Neko tweets like, "Hey, you can support," not to me particular, but just tweeting it out, right? Because it wasn't getting that much attention. It still isn't. But I just couldn't get into it personally. I just thought it was not too engaging, really long, and I don't know. I couldn't really describe it further than that. I don't know what it is. Yeah, sorry. All right, now some of the videos that I thought were decent. That was like, okay, yeah. It's like that. I'll talk about that. This first one's from Kero Riripaddo. I think he DM'd me about his channel and stuff he was doing, or he tweeted and added me or something. So it seems that he mostly does semi-regular interviews with other YouTubers or other personalities. Like I think he did a cosplayer this week. And then throughout the rest of the week, he uploads clips of that conversation. Like the full conversation is uploaded first, and then throughout, it's kind of like a Joe Rogan Experience type of thing, where it's the podcast and then a couple clips, but it's the same channel instead of clips being on one channel and the thing on the other. So this one I wanted to mention was from his conversation with Professor Otaku. AniTube is set up to fail. Why AniTubers are having trouble making their channels into a career. And yeah, they're talking a lot about the problems with the game and with YouTube, and what if people don't want to talk about Attack on Titan? Yeah, and it's like there seems to be one set concrete path onto it, and yeah, it's too bad the way it is like this. I talk about it a lot on my other podcast as well. That's with my patrons. For my patrons, and for me, it's like you just kind of want to make the videos and have fun making those, and whoever gets to see them is cool, and unless you want to play it, but even the people who play the game the best or the most often or really into it, like Nuxtaku, understands it's not easy, and it's really toxic and taxing on a person's mental health. He had a whole video on it, and I thought that was really enlightening and interesting coming from him. Yeah, and I recommend that video a good deal in this same vein or subject. He doesn't necessarily talk about anime YouTube as much as he talks about the broader YouTube landscape, because he's expanded out past anime. But I do like that they were bringing up how even anime YouTube, there's a weird gap. It's like it seems really hard to get past 100K. Like the valley between of the amount of people who are between 100,000 and 1 million subscribers is actually very sparse compared to how many people are under 100K, or there's a few people that made it past and got to 1 million. We only have like, I think, less than 10 prominent anime YouTubers that are over 1 million subscribers. Like, why? Like, anime is not very much of a niche topic anymore. Why is this the case? They try to get to the bottom a little bit of that, but it is what it is. What anything we can do. I didn't check out the whole podcast, but it seemed like a decent conversation, a very here's my piece, here's your piece kind of deal, and not so much of a linked back and forth. But it's the people talking a lot, which I'm similar with my podcasts, where I talk, let the other person talk for a long time. It's not as much of a mesh, but that's not a necessity or anything. And I like that it's kind of using like the face cam, like I don't know if it's a Zoom thing or anything, but the visuals itself was a good choice, I think, instead of the one static panel that everyone does. But yeah, I thought that was cool. Nice. And yeah, and speaking of that YouTube thing, I like that Manime Matt talked about Nuxtaku's genius $10,000 challenge. And this was very surprising and out of the blue for Manime Matt, because he hasn't really talked about other YouTubers in this way, at least so dedicated and anything. And I was surprised it was about Nux Taku of everything. Like, I get that he probably, like, I know he's friends with Evan and these other guys, and it's like, yeah, it makes sense he would know who Nux is, and they talk a lot. And he does disclose that. But I like that he talked about what Nux is doing on Twitch with this subathon, or I guess like a marathon where he's challenging a select group of people to stream for as long as possible, and every day is $1,000. And if you stream for 10 days, the max cap is $10,000, and the last person to stop streaming continuously wins. That's kind of interesting, and fun, I think. But I like that Manime Matt came from a point of an observer, and being able to talk about how we've had to get creative when it comes to collaborations, and when it comes to just YouTube and Twitch. Yeah, it has its own problems, but there's a lot of promise on Twitch, and a lot of people are thriving there, which is really great to see. I'm not sure if I'm fully going to be on that myself. I like being able to like stream here, I guess, but granted, I don't really stream that much anyway. I would like to stream when I get back after the summer, but we'll see. I'm not very good at that regularity of that in particular, but we'll see. But no, I like that he was talking about it, and it just felt more natural. I don't know if how much of his stuff has been unscripted before, but it feels like this one was pretty vloggy and unscripted, and I really liked it. You can tell he's getting more practice on being on Twitch and being able to talk unscripted. That is like a skill to get better at and to train, right? And so this felt like a kind of a natural video. It flew by for me, and it was interesting, and he was very personable, and not like he isn't personable in his other videos, but it just feels very staged and performative in his other videos and his scripted content. In this one, he has a similar delivery, but there's a lot of like pauses, and there's more natural inflexes that I kind of subconsciously, I guess, noticed. I was like, this is really comfy. This is kind of nice, like just, having this video like a vloggy type thing. I don't know how much he's infused that into his other content, and how much of it is like scripted and stuff. But I would suggest if that isn't the case, if he hasn't done that already, I would suggest it. I mean, I think I mentioned earlier how I think the face cam, similar to Joe from Pause and Select, has done a really good job with having your content feel more personable and engaging. A person's face, if it ain't broke, I guess. A lot of old school vloggers and stuff, that's what they use, because that's what they had. And it is engaging, and it is kind of a cultural thing, I guess. But I think that this delivery seemed really great, and I like that you talked about collaborations. I wanted to mention, I'm happy I didn't forget about collaborations. I agree that you don't do collabs for mutually benefiting. Like, you don't say you subscribe to these guys, and they, your audience gets shared the same way. It happens at the top a lot more, from what Matt was saying, but a lot of the time it's not very it's very negligible, the amount of gains or losses and stuff. So yeah, I totally feel that. I've had a little bit of collabs here and there, but yeah, they don't have too much of an effect. But it's still really cool to collab. It's really cool to like have people involved with your video and make it better in some tangible way. Even if there's no gain or monetary gain or a subscriber gain or anything like that, even if there isn't anything like that, I think it's valuable to the people, to the actual creators and the people making the video and the people collaborating. It's like, wow, that was a great experience. And it can help them with their own content, right? It just it enriches everybody's experience, right? So, I mean, I get that YouTube doesn't necessarily support that, but sometimes it's, it should be as much as what YouTube wants you to do as it is what you should do that's healthy as a creator. Like, yeah, it would probably be good if people were able to upload weekly or bi-weekly or every day, similar to what, or whatever the algorithm wants you to do or something. But like, you can't, it has to be a matter of what you can feasibly do, right? but you can extend that more so to like, what's an enriching experience for you? What's a challenging experience for you? What's a video that like would be that you haven't made before, that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, that it could do well on YouTube. That could be a separate issue, but like, think about what what you want to do to be creatively satisfied. You need to balance that just as much as if you want to have success. And some people like myself, it's just, fuck the YouTube, I'm just gonna do what I like and do what I think is creatively fulfilling, and what I want to put out there, I guess. And collabing is part of that. It takes a little extra time, and there's the correspondence and everything, and it's more work than you would have to do otherwise if you just did all of it yourself. But it's great, and it's enriching, as I'm sure you'd be able to know with like doing YouTube and making all these friends. So anyway, that's tangent aside. I'm happy I got that in. It's this thing I've been thinking about lately. You know what? I probably said the exact same thing with Kevin Ya's video. Yeah, I did. Sorry to be so repetitive. It is what it is, I guess, every week. Oh, well. Yeah, great video, Matt. Nice. Hey, I checked out Yata Kun's video on the subtle beauty of Super Cub. I'm surprised, I've seen this on Twitter, but like, of course, this is one of those seasonals that nobody's made a video on type of deal. And I like the observations that Yata Kun had, and the ruminations and things. It seemed like, sold out to me pretty well. I don't have too much to say about it because it's a very straightforward analysis kind of video and talking about the show. But one thing I noticed with this video that I think could be better was just like the way it's edited with the same adjustment, layer, zoom, rotation transition, and then the fade to blacks. Sometimes there was like 5 fade to blacks in 10 seconds. And I don't know if that's there for like copyright. But I when I started noticing that, I couldn't unsee it. And I was like, man, I know that like simple cutting can be boring, but man, it'd be nice for this show. For this show in particular, of like how Yata Kun was talking about how subtle it is, and the simplicity, I guess, of the show. I feel like if that was reflected in the video, in the craft itself, I think it would have helped it. I think the simple cutting would have been nice. There's some effects that are really cool, like the zooming in and out of frame for certain transitions were really cool. And honestly, I'm not saying do away for them entirely, but like, consider, and sometimes like, yeah, maybe I'm doing this particular one a little too much, or yeah. I thought, or maybe it's like, yeah, intentional, and there's like a part where you're like listing 3 or 4 different things, like 3 or 4 instances, and you fade to black in each one of those, and there's like a rhyme or kind of a connectivity to that. You can kind of have a cohesiveness to those moments through that transition. I mean, that's fine, that's good. But the fact that you were using the fade to black everywhere else for so much of it, it just felt like a lot. And it was just something that I was noticing a good deal. Once I saw it, I was like, boy, this happened a lot, huh? Just have them kind of be aware of that, I guess, that can happen. But I do think that some of the simple cutting, if just this simple clip selection, would be really nice for this particular show. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on that one. Just something I noticed with it. Again, I don't have too much to say about the substance, because it's just, yeah, it's a analysis of what Super Cub does, tone wise, and a little bit like character wise. And yeah, it's nice of him kind of talking about the main character being an introvert, things like that. I don't always really like remember the substance of a lot of these videos, because it just, I don't know, my attention span's gotten very short lately, I guess. It is what it is when you're constantly online, I guess. But a lot of the substance doesn't get past, but the feel of it and then the experience of watching the video is what I always kind of try to latch onto and take away from, I guess. But yeah, no, I enjoyed that. It was cool. I like this akidearest video of I moved. It's cool that they moved to a bigger place, and she talked about the whole process of moving. And I feel like the thumbnail's a little sad, a little. It is grabbing, it is arresting. So it's an effective thumb and title, but it's not like it's more happened, there's no drama or anything. It felt like there was drama, but there's nothing at all. But like it was really interesting hearing about the moving process in Japan, as well as like finding the different houses and you know why they chose certain things the way they did. There's no tour of this yet. That's going to be later. But that was really interesting, and like hearing about the process. I liked how candid she was with like Joey wanted to pack all of his figures himself without the moving company's help. And then I guess he had a trip, which I assume is the Journey Across Japan thing, is what I'm going to make the assumption of. But he had like he had to he was out for most of it. So it's like, so guess who had to pack all his figures? And I like the kid, but she's like, yeah, we made it out. It was cool. Little anecdotes like the mini me, the minion, not mini me, the minions mini fridge that the moving company gave them afterwards for that, thanking them for using their service, which is a thing in Japan, I guess, which is surprising to me. And it's like, wow, that's awesome, actually. But sometimes you don't like the game. It's like, oh, okay. But it was a fun video. It was a cool experience. Went by really fast, and I enjoyed it. It was really nice. Mother's Basement, coming in swinging. Are they making too much anime? You know. And so Trixie has made a video like this like 3 years ago. So it's funny that it's just like, yeah, of course. And I like that Jeff mostly focuses on like the community or fan experience of how much anime is being made, and you can't watch all of it, or a lot of it's not sticking in your brain for very long. And I liked his point a lot about original anime used to have this really big impact. All of the big touchstone anime that were a big deal were all mostly originals. And then, all the rapidity of how much is happening and how fast stuff moves, original anime have way less time to make an impression and get completely dead in a couple, as soon as they're done airing. Which I think is a really good point, and is interesting, mentioning Decadence specifically about that, because it reminds me of like Last Exile. I feel if Last Exile came out in this season, it would have been buried. Like no one would have watched it, kind of deal. But it's kind of like a little bit more in people's minds because it came out in the 2000s, so it had more of a shelf life. These newer anime have a much shorter shelf life. I'd be remiss not to mention the reason I'm happy he mostly talks about the fan experience and not like facts as much. Like the beginning, he seems very well read about like what was happening with Wonder Egg and being overworked and underpaid, those sorts of things. Like he seems decently researched and read about those things, but it was not the best first impression when the very first sentence is when Astro Boy aired in 1961. It wasn't 1961, Jeff. It was 1963. The studio was founded in 1961. There was premiere episodes that aired in November of 1962, but the show premiered in New Year's Day, 1963. I felt like I was taking crazy pills. I'm like, I'm going to become the Joker. You can't do that. You can't just get like the date of the, like, okay, maybe like, yeah, sure, some of these other anime, you can't get the date, maybe, okay. It's Astro Boy. It's the first TV anime. It's synonymous. There's 2 other series with Astro Boy in the name. That's from 1980 and 2003. So like the year is synonymous with the show that you're talking about. How did you get 1961? I know it's it's a nitpick, but like, it's your first sentence of a video. Oh, it was like, oh, my brain. And then, a bit of a that was mostly on you, because you vocalized that, and it was probably in the script, or maybe it wasn't, and you just brain fried, I don't know, not Nietzsche. I don't remember. Freudian slip? Yeah, that's what it was. Nietzsche. Um, no, but then there's an editor, little editor gaff. Not like, like, oh, he split framed something, but you're talking about TV anime being aired, and he uses that that Reddit post about like the number of anime that got produced every year and how much more is in this year versus previous years, and it's not including movies and it's not including OVAs, and he says that. And then as he makes the other caveat of like a lot of these shows are actually really long and went for multiple years, they show Urusei Yatsura, but they show one of the movies of Urusei Yatsura. I think movie 4. I'm pretty sure it's movie 4. It's not one of the TV shows. I know it was showing opening credits. That's like, that would never be in the show. That's not the TV show. If it isn't, then it's the OVA, which also wouldn't make sense. And then right after the Urusei Yatsura, they use Gundam 83, which I'm almost positive is an OVA. Maybe it aired on TV somewhere. But like, he's talking about TV anime here. Why are you using a movie in an OVA? I know it's a bit of a... it's not a big deal. It didn't detract from his point or anything. It's just distracting as someone. He's like, come on, Jeff. Or the editor, as it, would it be? And again, it's a nitpick. I get that. But it's just something I noticed, But yeah, I overall, I think the video is interesting, and it's a good point to be making. I think a lot of people have the same sentiment, but he's just kind of preaching to the choir at this point. It's not a lot of like new knowledge. Besides the one bit of knowledge that I took from this that I was like, wow, oh my god, was like the idea of like a subpar adaptation, making the having the source material be sold worse because the anime's out. Apparently, at least according to this video, which I assume it's correct with the data point somewhere. I think it was like How to Raise a Demon Lord. It was one of the isekais or something from like a year or two ago that like the anime came out and the light novel sales did worse when the anime was, because the anime is not very good. Like, it was very subpar animation wise. It's not Mushoku Tensei basically, right? And because of that, or presumably because of that, it's not a very well received anime. The light novel sales went down, right? Which is like, oh man, that is good. That's an interesting data point, I thought. Anyway, a decent video though. I think this is the first time I'm talking about Heavenly Controller, and I don't really deal with this crowd too much. It feels like modern day, or modern, not modern, I don't know. They don't feel like anime YouTubers in the same way as a lot of us other ones who are making essays and things like that. It feels like most of them are mostly vloggers, and they're playing games and reacting to stuff. And I really liked Heavenly's insight. So what this video is, I was on an anime game show. It's a Twitch stream. You can see the chat, and he's reacting to a video he was in and talking about, and like right away he's talking about like what it was like to film this video, which is you never get that. You almost never get that on YouTube. And it's so interesting. And I don't know if it's like a taboo thing. Not taboo, I guess, but it's never a thing where if somebody guest stars on your video and they're in the video or whatever, like a vlog or something, like if you're in a David Dobrik video, you're not going to then react to the David Dobrik video and then make that your own content. You're reacting to yourself in a way. It seems vain when I pitch it like that. But it's actually really interesting and insightful, especially in a context like this, where there's a lot of people, and he's one person in the video. He's not the main subject. It's not like it's not the same thing kind of deal. And it was interesting. I was disappointed he doesn't link the video he's reacting to in his description. So and he's just saying, "Oh, Jimmy," I think is the name of the guy he's making this video with. But am I supposed to YouTube search Jimmy or something, like Jimmy Anime, or like what? But I guess he makes anime content, and this game show that they play, it's kind of surface level. It's trivia about Naruto and One Piece. But they have an Oron question. I was like, okay, yeah, like I can't go wrong. I can't get mad at the first question is name all 7 host club members. I'm like, Oh yeah, I could do that. That was just really fun. I like these kind of game shows. I thought the questions were to talk about the video he was reacting to. I liked the very playful banter with everyone around. Like they really were all comfortable in kind of a party setting. It was this really funny dynamic. It was girls versus boys, but every time the girls got a point, they had like a group of their I guess one of them was their boyfriend or someone they contacted as like a special as like a lifeline, and they were on like the couch, and they're like, you just go search the answer because you can hear the question with an earshot. It's like what, which was really funny. But they cheered every time they got a point and the boys didn't. Like, why do they get a thing and we don't? There was a lot of fun banter here. One of the guys is like he's totally kind of gaslighting, and trying to mess them up or whatever. And it's really playful and fun. And I think the host was really charismatic and a decent host, I thought. But yeah, so I liked the video that he was reacting to personally. I could see a lot of the people who are like, you could see this is very vapid and whatever. But I liked the it was interesting. It's also sponsored. Like he actually had like a sponsored he sponsored like Raycon or something, or like another. He had like a sponsorship attached to this video, and it's a Twitch reaction video, and I'm like, wow. Yeah, some people could be cynical about that, but I think that's really inventive and a good way to like generate content for yourself. And I think that his other thumbnails and titles are very effective. Even though I see this video and I'm like, oh, it's a Twitch clip. The rest of these are probably Twitch clips. You know what I mean? But it's the same thing with Critical. Critical's doing a similar thing, and he's doing a great job. He's really successful with that. You can't knock the playing the game, right? Of turning turning one platform and generating content out of it, and media mix effectively. I'm sorry if I'm misusing the word media mix with a certain thing. Anyway, the other subject. But yeah, no, I really liked and it was fun for he was reacting very genuinely and like giving a bit of insight of like, yeah, they just kind of asked me to come over, and then it's like a David Dobrik type of thing with like he's having just people come over. And it just feels like, oh, we're filming a video and things like it, that sort of YouTubery environment that a lot of people in the Los Angeles area, I imagine, or a lot of that Los Angeles, but I don't know if this is filmed in Los Angeles, but you know what I mean. A lot of them live near each other, so they come over to their house and do some stuff, and you have your own group of people and things like that. It's like bringing that, but it's anime, and yeah, it was pretty anime, but again, I get it's very surface level. It's just Sailor Moon, and there was an assassination classroom question, and pretty surface level picks, but like the questions themselves were kind of challenging, and it was fun. I don't know. I liked the video, and I thought that what Heavenly's doing here is kind of inventive, even though it's very like, oh, come on, that's cheating. It's like, no. There's no such thing as cheating in this game. And you just can't break the only rules you can break are the ones that are like make sense. It's like, don't film a dead body. Don't do that. Okay? Those are the only ones you can actually break. But otherwise it's like you do you, man. And I thought that was fun. It was it didn't feel like 23 minutes. Didn't feel its length like some of these other videos I watched this week. Okay, and now what I thought were the best videos of the week, what I thought was like, yeah, I loved that. And I'm going to give a real quick first pick to the Canipa Effect for his Pokemon Black and White video. Doesn't need a remake, they're already perfect. It's not anime, so that's why I'm trying to not to like give it such a huge spotlight, but oh my god, I loved that video, dude. Yes. And learning about like, how they're always a generation behind, but that was their intention. And once they moved to 3D, you never come back. And Ken Sugimori, the interviews you had with Ken Sugimori and these other creators and things talking about it, it just felt so insightful and not like, yeah, like you love these games. But I like that you were talking, it's like, I didn't notice this at the time of me playing them. And I think that framing device that you use occasionally was really strong. Because a lot of your viewers are probably the same way. A lot of us played it when it came out in 2011. And so we probably all have that same, and there's a frame of mind we all had probably at the time. Although I actually never made the connection that the 3DS was out by then, and yet they're making their Gen 5 game on the DS again. Like they're double dipping on the DS from Gen 4 and Gen 5. I never actually noticed that, but like it totally and it also makes sense that the fans were clamoring for 3D, and then we get it, and it's like, man, I wish we didn't. And I was with you 100% with the kind of HD pixel art, like what I forget the name, Octopath Traveler. I think is one of the games that are doing that, and Triangle Stage or something. One of those newer games that are using like really nice lighting and 3D environments, but pixel art. I really want that. Yes, I completely co-sign. And it's unfortunate that the way you end it is like, it just sucks that it's like, I know they won't, but it just sucks to know that they could, because all these people are still employed at the damn company. They're just outsourcing everything, and they're still working there. They could still do this, and it's yeah. I just I really like that insight. Sorry, I don't want to spend too much time on it. It's technically not anime, but man, great video. I sent it to my roommates who do a video game industry podcast, being like, please check this out, dude. It's fucking food. It's fucking food. Yeah, dude, it was sick. This is a really nice EP from Opalescent. She hasn't made it like I haven't followed her channel super closely, but I don't know how much how much of like anime she's done necessarily. Yeah, like not too much, I guess, but that's okay. Some of it though. But I really like this EP. I'm not much of a music. I listen to a lot of music, and I listen to Anthony Fantano's reviews, but it goes one ear out the other. I just like hearing him talk about albums. So I'm not very good at talking about them myself and talking about music and how it sounds, but it seems very relaxing. I just chilled in bed while I was listening to it, kind of deal, and like it's nice and it's like short and sweet. I like the song Nostalgia, particularly the lyrical content in that. It's escaping me of what it actually was, but I felt particularly connected to the lyrics in that song. The rest of them just felt very pretty and rough around the edges, but like in a way that seems very intentional. And I like that, the description of it says like, I still have a lot to learn about production and lyrics and stuff, but I'm, and that the way you learn is by doing, it's just by doing it more and producing more and getting better and honing it, just like making videos and stuff. You just get better the more you do it. So yeah, like I really liked this. I thought it was really peaceful, a good mood thing. Didn't feel like it took up. None of the tracks felt like they outstaged anyone else. Like sometimes in an EP you have like a banger, like one really good strong song that everyone knows it for, and the rest are just like, yeah, there's these other songs too. Yeah, even a lot of albums kind of feel that way. This felt very holistic, balanced, and they don't have all, I don't know if they would go so far as to say they all sound alike. It just felt like they were all very consistent mood and even keeled, I guess. I don't know if that made any sense as a music thing, me talking about music. Also, the illustration for the video here is cute. It's not the thumbnail. It's this other drawing, which was really nice. Yeah, I just really like this EP. I hope you continue making music. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, that was great. I wasn't going to check out this Nagatoro video, not because it's like, oh, I'm not totally Nagatoro or whatever, but I just think, I talked about Gigguk last time. I want Nagatoro to bully me, and it's also like, of course. So it's like, of course Gigguk's going to talk about this one. It's a mildly popular seasonal, and it's in his wheelhouse, and I think he'll do a good job with it. It's like, I probably don't need to watch this. No offense. I was just like, yeah, I've probably seen a video like this before from him. But then I saw Jack's boy say, haha, I edited this. I'm like, deadass? Me being friends with Jack, I was like, oh my god, yeah, checking that out. And I'm not going to try to talk about Jack the entire time. I noticed that Gigguk got another camera, and he's using the second camera take thing, which is exactly what Tristan Glass Reflection did like last week or 2 weeks ago. It's just funny that the both of them started using that at around the same time. They both, it's like, what if I had a second camera and I cut away? Although Gigguk definitely used it for a more punchier comedic effect. And I thought he did a good job with it. I thought he was, I really like how much he was. I know, this is the case with his other videos. He's been getting more on camera recently, but I thought it was a good job here. A good balance of material from the show he's talking about and himself. But yeah, I could tell this is Jack once I'm watching it because of the way he's using particular stock images as well as integrating the footage and the shaking and the text game, the choice. There was one font that was like, yeah, Jack just uses that in his videos, like that exact font, or whatever, or then spilling the milk or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool. But like, you could tell it was a bit of an advancement. It was like, I think he realized it's like, oh, I'm adding for Gigguk, or maybe it was, Gigguk helping him with like, how about you try this image or different things. But there was something about the image game in this one that just felt more elevated. There were certain choices that was like, oh, that's a really strong one. And like the way he uses his like Gigguk's own face to like just to punch an idea, which is something he did in like his Trash Taste videos, as well as like other places, I guess. But yeah, no, it's really funny. I thought Jack did a really good job complimenting and matching Gigguk's energy and the really sharp wit that is kind of coming with Nagatoro and what this series warrants, really. And I like the observations Gigguk is making with this particular show feels different from the other teasing series that have been kind of little, they've had their popularities in the past. This one feels a little different because there's a very decidedly wholesomeness and an elevation to the material, and that it's much smarter with kind of the softcore like softcore tags. Like a lot of the weird things that if you're a denizen of reading a lot of doujinshi, which I am not, he's like, yeah, we recognize all these tropes and it's all there. And it's like, yeah, this feels like it feels like watching a doujinshi, but it's an original series and it's animated, and decently too, not like a hentai or something. Like he's not trying to be like, this is like a hentai or something, or because it's like, well, yeah, that's what an ecchi is, but it's smart. It's not trying to be. I think I don't want to like reference Trixie's anime's getting lazy with its meta. I remember like it's like, oh, another boob grab joke kind of thing. But there's something like I think what Gigguk is talking about is like they're educated in the kind of tags and the kind of content that is appealing and is being used a lot in the doujinshi market, in the sphere, those particular tropes, the types of gags, and that sort of thing, and implementing them in a tasteful way that's not super intrusive. It doesn't feel gratuitous. I think there are certain anime that don't get that, or they're clueless to that type of material, I guess, or to what they're like to do an ecchi. It takes a very particular approach and context. It's not just like the scene itself. There's the build up to that scene and the effectiveness of the execution, I guess. So I don't know, there was some really great observations from Gigguk made here, and I thought Jack did a really great job matching his energy, and it still felt like Jack is boy editing the video, but even more elevated. And I think you did a really great job with this. So I really enjoyed this video a good deal. It's great. Yeah, what do you know? Anime Man doing another interview and me covering it on Digest. It's not like I don't like his other content. I just don't watch it that often. This is always the one that I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Almost every single time. And I met and confronted the creator of Redo of Healer. And yeah, he would be the only one who would do this or be able to do this. And I think he said I was like, this is another case of this particular creator's first on-screen interview, which is like awesome. That's really groundbreaking stuff. Groundbreaking is kind of a buzzword and stuff, but it really, in terms of the pure definition of a groundbreaking thing, where it's like nothing was there and now something is there. You actually interviewed someone who hadn't had a video interview before, and seeing the author's personality and viewpoint of how he makes content, and how he started by being like, I bet I can make this better, and playing the game and seeing how he's like, actually, sex doesn't sell as much as you think if it's not attached to something that is really interesting. Like, pure sex isn't as much of a seller as, say, putting it together within a revenge story like Redo of Healer is. Or you have sex and something else, but he also relates it to action, where it's like, if it was pure action, you can only go so far before it gets kind of samey and not very interesting. And I also liked his perspective on revenge stories, where he's like, a lot of the Naro tags for revenge, which was super popular, all their problems was that they all ended really quickly, or the revenge was early on in the story and then it just becomes a generic harem. And he was just like, what if I tried to make a revenge story that kept perpetuating and kept happening, and it was more interesting in that way. I never watched past episode 2. I didn't like it. And it was, a lot of it had to do with the execution of the anime for me personally. I just thought it was really not unappealing. It was just really unappealing and not, I guess, interesting in a way, but it just presented more questions to me, and not in the kind of questions I want to be answered. I was just like, I probably would never get these answers kind of questions. It was like, yeah. But this had a lot of great insight. It really did. And I liked Anime Man's questions. And his surprise at a lot of things, and there was a lot of like differences and things. And of course his commentary at the end being like, I had never interviewed someone that kind of interesting. And I like that he mentions how the Universal Classics, it's one thing, but the Universal Classics is, that everyone has a positive opinion about. Those are cool, but I'm more interested in the ones that are split. And on the topic of it being split, I like the author's kind of like rationality of like, I'm going to go for the story that is divisive over the one that is trying to appeal to everybody. Because if I get it's similar to, it kind of reminded me of Neuralities, actually, because she mentions the appeal or the benefit that she found with her controversial videos, that, yeah, I got a lot of dissenters and a lot of, people making response videos and shit and very like toxic stuff. But I also got a lot of great fans and a lot of great feedback and a lot of people that really like what I was saying. And I like having those people. And the author was like, those are the people that buy your content, and that's how you make money, He was caring about maximizing his profits in a way. So he's like, I'm going to cater to this particular audience, even though it alienates another chunk of them. He's like, if you can get that 50-50, that's much better than like a than getting a higher percentage, but not as many people are checking it out. You know what I mean? Trying to get like a very flashy, popular one. And he's made a number of works, and I think that's interesting. He's got a new anime happening in the summer. I don't know. I just love hearing from a creator's perspective and learning more about the industry, even though the anime itself you can say is reprehensible, deplorable, whatever about Redo of Healer. I certainly didn't like what I saw of it. But I just think this is really valuable and interesting, and I'm very happy that Joey did an interview with this guy. Yeah, it was really cool. Uku's got a face reveal from Magical. I love the set, my guy. And it's good to see your face. And what a good video to start with this new era for his content, with what makes a magical girl show magical. Finally talking about Ojamaja Doremi. Finally. Because, as a Maho Shoujo channel, I'm like, where's the Doremi video? And it's still the first season. I'm like, okay, sure. I am desperate for content past season 1, I mean. Please. But I really like the point he was making about and using Ojamaja Doremi as a case study of what's interesting about magical girl shows, what makes them kind of like magical. And it's very sappy, but like really endearing kind of answer of like, it's not about the magic and the costumes and the surface level things that everyone kind of sees them as, or the fighting of the villains or whatever. You take a show that like Doesn't have any villains. The outfits are cute, but it's all the same kind of outfits, you know. Um, and the magic doesn't solve everything. The magic is kind of whatever, and it's really unconventional in that way. And so his idea is just like the magical stuff is the moments of that are human that like that are rare in human are rare in society, I guess, kind of like humanity, empathy for someone, the human interactions, the miraculous types of relationships that can happen, and overcoming things, that sort of thing, overcoming the odds, that sort of stuff. Very corny in my, but I really liked it, and it's a really great message. Great use of the vast soundtrack that Ojimata Doremi has. I know what that's like. Yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, I know these tracks. Hell yeah. Again, I thought he was a really good presence on camera. I'm really looking forward to this next stage of his creative journey. I don't have too much else to say about it, I guess. It's just like pretty prototypical Ojimata Doremi video, but taking this particular idea of what makes a magical girl show magical, and it's very endearing and heartfelt and awesome answer and dope video. Sorry to spoil it in digest, but hey, that's fine. Yeah. Hey, it's Suin again. Let's go. Like she just goes by account. She did nothing wrong in defense of Kikyo from Inuyasha. I've not seen Inuyasha. I've seen Hirose Hatsura and Maison Goku, but not Ranma and Inuyasha, which are the more popular ones in the West. Ironic. But yeah, like this was such a polished and a really great looking video. It's similar to like her Chiya Hayafura video that I saw a while ago. But this one was really nice in 4:3. And the way she integrated the footage and kind of weaved it with the manga, there was an amazing sequence that like I don't think I've seen anyone do, and I'm like, oh my god, I should steal that. Or like I want to see that more often. It's using the anime dialogue, but showing the manga panels and like using the audio for that, but then using the speech bubble, just like the dialogue in the, say like you have the manga box in the screen and the dialogue but nothing else, and then it was like a low transparency white over the anime footage, so it's like having the anime footage in the manga panel. It looks, it sounds dumb when I'm describing it, but like that was so cool. I was like, oh my god. And of course a little bit of manga motion and things like that, and the use of color is great. I'm like, man, why don't I'm so fucking dumb with these fucking textures. Like the texture she uses here, this really rich, nice red with this really nice kind of ornate little texture to it with the beveled shadows to give it some dimensionality. Video's gorgeous, my god, man. Yeah, I love what she did with this. And the substances, it's talking about Kikyo. I like the premise where it's like she's a very divisive character, the 0 stars and 5-star kind of review little thing at the beginning. But it seems like a really great character analysis. And the integration of the anime to manga and things like that. She's a great content creator. I'm looking forward to more what she does. She doesn't post too often, but I imagine it's because these videos take a good deal of time to make, and she doesn't do them full time or anything. So, yeah, I love these. Really great video. Probably is going to keep scoring best of the week type of deal with this level of polish and execution. It's great. But the reigning champ, I just feel like it always feels a bit of a cop out. It's a bit of a cop out to put him in the last. Again, I don't try to make the best of the last video as the best one to be like, because I have in other videos, but then sometimes it's like I don't really have one, but yeah, of course, TheCynicClinic again with another. I love the length of these. It doesn't feel too long, but it's not like not enough. You know what I mean? It's like, I wish there was more of that. It just feels super perfectly in the right sweet spot lengthwise. I am jealous because I'm stuck doing these 45, 50-minute fucking monsters. But that's okay. I do it to myself. But yeah, this is a anime discourse starter pack where he talks about 4 different resources that I want. 2 of them are books, and 2 of them are databases, but neither of which I had heard of. That sound amazing. So yeah, he really convinced me to check out Thomas Lamar's Anime Machine. I'd heard of the book before, but his particular endorsement I think was really what is first time I've really been sold on it, I guess. Although I saw someone in my Discord being like, "Yeah, you're really gonna you're really gonna do that book? It's like that would turn you off to academics because it's so, I don't know, technical and verbose." I'll admit, like, yeah, a lot of the reading an anime academic book feels very esoteric. There's just something about it, just like it doesn't hold my attention for very long. It's not like a great read or something like that. That's just me. Maybe I don't read books because I'm a fucking young person or whatever. But these resources are really great, very varied. And of course, TheCynicClinic's humor and polish is all there in perfect spades. Nice use of Ongaku in the. Do I still have it? Is it? No. It used to be in the back. Okay. I guess I put it back somewhere. It used to be back there. nice of Ongaku in the background there, but for the most part, he was like filming from different angles in his own hotel room because he's quarantining in Australia for a couple weeks. But he was like, "Well, I'm stuck in this room. Let's make of it." And then like fucking Markiplier had that same problem, but like I didn't check out any of his vids, but I'm positive they were not as polished as this stuff. This looks great. This video looks excellent, especially the fact that like you were able to do different angles and you were filming in a hotel room of all, I think it looks gorgeous. I'm looking forward to more videos. It's just another great TheCynicClinic video. It's hard to, he's putting out stuff consistently, and I'm repeating myself at this point. So it's just like, this is just another way of notifying you that TheCynicClinic made a video and you should watch it. Yeah, really great talking about discourse and citing your sources, and also saying that like Wikipedia is good to look at for their sources. Like you don't cite them outright, but you're like, where did they get their info from? Perfect. Like that, no shit, And I'm not saying like no shit to you, but it's like, obviously kind of deal. I was like, thank you. More people should know that. Anyway, great vid. Anyway, that'll do it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, including Austin, Boo, Kuiper, MyAnimePod, Najbeb, Nicholas, Saxon, Unique Nameosaurus, Victor, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.